And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Greetings. Greetings. Welcome to week 66 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. Come on in, folks. Come on in. Come on in. Let me know where you're coming from. Let me know if you've been rocking with me for 66 weeks. Come on in. Come on in. We got Tambo, Tony John, JT Taylor, my man. Good morning, sir. Come on in. Come on in. We got a big one today. Red Snapper in the building. Sean's, I know I messed that up. 2 is in the building. 210 is in the building. Crystal Bowie. Oh, the names are going fast. Demetrius Scott, Anthony Russell, Crystal somebody. It keeps moving. Yesenia Rodriguez is in the building. Renee Bostic, Superintendent Finch, Verlin John, Sharice Buckingham Williams, Annie Benson. They're all in the building. Rodney Richardson, Gregory Moss, Bowman, Kimberly Broughton, Kafele. My wife is in the building. She's actually in the building, right? We got Venice Lewis. My man, Principal Carlos Backage, is in the building. He's going to be on this broadcast one day too. I gotta reach out to him and schedule something, but he'll be on here. That's one of my young brothers. We got Stephanie Jacobs, Ace Kennedy, Karen Smith Allison. They're in the building. Principal Josh Tovar, he's going to be on the broadcast. We already booked him, right? Is in the building. Faithful Howard, Amanda Pickett, April Joy Bird, they're all in the building. Come on in. Sheikah Houston's in the building. We booked her already. She's going to be on here. Vincent Stallings, the traveling man, is in the building. Rashad Davis, Ronald Pugh, T.B. Summers, they're all in the building. Central Hicks is here. Jennifer Griffin has checked in the building. Come on in, folks. Hit that share button as you come in. Hit that retweet button as you come in. Let them know we're in week 66. Those of you who have been here with me that long, can you believe it? 66 weeks? This was supposed to be 18 weeks. We're at 66 weeks. Here, who else is here? Kathy Dalamonte's in the building. Tina Saints is in the building. Marsha Babcock, Shun Hill, they're all here. Alan Cowart is in the building. Hit that share button. Hit that retweet button. Let them know we're here for the 66 broadcast. I had said the goal was 100, but we already went beyond that. I said, I'm just going to do this until I can't speak no more, right? Reggie Miller's in the building from Orange, New Jersey. My man, good to see you, sir. Have you been on here before? This is the first time I've seen your name. Good to see you. Monica Montavo is in the building. How you doing, Monica? Dr. Roz Gaskins is in the building. Come on in. Tiffany, where's it at? Napoleon is in the building. Mrs. Yolanda McKinney, all the way from Little Rock, is in the building. Hey, y'all, hit that retweet button, man. We got a big one today. Hit that retweet button. Hit that share button. We're on 4 platforms. We're on Facebook, Virtual AP Leadership Academy, Principal Kafele, YouTube, and Twitter at Principal Kafele. So if one goes down, you can go to another one. That YouTube is at Virtual AP Leadership Academy, my YouTube channel. So if one goes down, just switch over to another. We got 4 platforms here. Hit that retweet button. Hit that share button. Let them know we're in the building. Jennifer Desmond's in the building. Latasha Desmond's in the building. Lakeitha Collins is in the building. Jennifer Desmond, I said that already, is in the building. Withers Jackson's in the building. It's almost that time. We got Pamela Marcus in the building. Who else we got? We got Ohio Girl Jones in the building. Melissa Jones Chunu is in the building. Janine Wilkins, all the way from Alaska, is in the building. It's probably still dark outside. Good morning to everybody. Come on in. Come on in. It's 11 o'clock. You know, I don't waste no time. So it's 11 o'clock. So let me say to you formally now, Good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 66 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. I don't know about you. Look, I don't know, but I think I know. I mean, you checked in. I found, I've discovered over time that some of y'all, you check in, but you don't make yourself present, right? We don't see you, but you here watching. Because a lot of y'all, you'll say to me, oh, I'm on it every week. I just don't write anything, so you don't see my name. So I don't know, but I think I know how you feel, but I need to let you know how I feel. I'm on fire. I don't know if you heard me though. I say that every week for the same reason because thank you. We're in leadership, and you see I didn't plug in, but we good. You're in leadership, and there's no way in the world that despite we got a pandemic resurfacing, it never went away. So now we got variants, not just Delta. We got some other ones out there in different countries. It's brutal. We're trying to figure out what will school be. It's brutal. The world is brutal, but you chose leadership. So because you chose leadership, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to remind you that despite the challenges, you must be on fire. Woo! That's how I'm feeling, y'all. I just woke up the neighborhood, man. See, that's the energy you got to bring. So I'm saying to you this morning, because I got to jump into this message, because this is powerful this morning. I'm saying to you, as every week, you got to be on my mother's. This mirror dirty, y'all. I forgot to clean it. My mother's sitting there watching me, man. She gonna comment on it like as soon as I get off. I see you put that dirty mirror back up there. Listen, I'm saying to you, we going into that self-reflective mode as we always do. So I want you to lock in, right? Like whatever the distractions are out there, just lock in right now. But look here, y'all. I got another prop here. Look what I got, y'all. I got the bat, man. Look here. It's about hitting some home runs this morning. Let me put they gave me. I got this from Jefferson County out in Louisville, man. They look at that. They hooked me up, Principal Kafele. See, so I'm saying here, yo, we getting ready to hit some home runs this morning because I got a heavy hitter with us this morning, right? So let me get to this message real quick. My motivational message. I'm still on that word protecting. I'm calling this protecting your bounce. Once again, protecting your bounce. Now, what am I saying? I was walking the other day to this mall. I was going to the Apple store, like computer issues, right? So I'm going to the Apple store, and I had on my walking shoes, the ones I exercise in. And those they give me a nice little bounce when I walk. So I'm walking, I'm bouncing. I'm like, yeah, man, this is good, man. This is the perfect way to be walking. That bounce, right? When I walk. So it's nice cushion on the bottom, these Nikes, right? So I started thinking about this broadcast, and I started thinking about leadership, and then I thought about a basketball, right? And see, with a basketball, those of you that ever played before, when that ball has the right amount of air, you bounce it, you get a good bounce. But as soon as it starts deflating, right? Sometimes you're at a park back in the old days, and somebody brought a ball and it doesn't have the proper amount of air, and you try to bounce it, but you got to like use force because it's not enough air in it. So now you can't really get the dribble that you want. Well, I'm saying to you, the reason is because it doesn't have enough air in it. Right? It doesn't have the inflation that it needs in order to bounce. So what's that got to do with you? Everything. I'm saying to you, you got to protect your bounce. See, you got to have that spring in your step. You got to be able to bounce as you're doing this work. See, because if you allow yourself to be deflated, man, imagine that ball and it's deflated. Go beyond the forceful bounce, dribble. Now it's like deflated, nothing there. You can't use it. Imagine you let your air out. Imagine you let distractions out here deflate you. Imagine you not bringing the proper air weight to your job. You got to bring that air. You got to bring those pounds. You got to bring that energy. So make sure you protect it. Protect your bounce. You got to have that bounce in your step. You got to have that bounce in your leadership, right? You got to have that bounce in your practice. You got to have that bounce in your interactions and relationships with staff, with students, with parents. You got to bring that bounce with you. So protect your bounce, right? Enough said. Look here, you know, I got rid of my word of the week. I spent enough energy on that motivational message. So real quick, number one, congrats, man. Y'all don't know how many letters I get every day. Not every week, every day of the week, of people who are saying to me, thank you. I watched the videos, Kafele, man. I watched the Saturday Academy. I watched the interview videos. I read the Assistant Principal 50 or the Aspiring Principal 50. I read those books, Principal Kafele, and I got the job. I got the job. Yo, if you got the job, somebody out there, put it in the chat, right? Put it in the chat. Let us know. Let us know. I look, Carlos Baggett said, protect your bounce. I got to say that again, y'all. Protect your bounce. You got to have that bounce when you do this work, right? Let me get back. So if you just got that position, AP, principal, maybe even another level, new superintendent, put it in the chat. Let us know what's up. I know I see my man Michael Benton. He just got a new position. I don't know if he said it last week and I missed it, but I'll say it again. Michael Benton from Cincinnati. He just got that assistant principalship. So, and then we got T. Marchyak just got her position. So congratulations to you and all the new leaders out there. Congrats to you. But you know, that's the easy part now. Even though some of y'all, you've been telling me, man, I interviewed like 20 times. I interviewed like 30. I mean, people tell me 30 times, right? But that's still the easy part. The hard part starts now, right? The work. It's like somebody campaigning. All right, you campaign hard and all that stuff, but now you got to govern. See, it's not the same thing, right? So congrats to them. Next, all the first timers, man, welcome. Some of you, because I hear it all the time. Hey, Principal Kafele, like when I'm on location, right, or doing a virtual during the week, you don't have the same energy on Saturday. Could you like say I'm on fire? I say, are you kidding me? I'm not going to scream that out in this place. Man, the client might get scared, right? So, no, that's Saturday. Or they say, you don't wear the Negro League jerseys. Like, where the Negro League? No, that's Saturday. Indianapolis ABCs. I bet you never heard of them. See, you know the Indianapolis, the Clowns, which I'm aware next week, but this is the Indianapolis ABCs. That's a different team. American Brewery Company, right? It's a different team, but I wear these shirts with pride. Let me keep going, y'all. Check out that blog I wrote yesterday. It's called Sometimes You Have to Reach Rock Bottom to Realize You Were Born to Soar. Just go to principalkafele.com. Again, principalkafele, plural.com. Wrote it yesterday. Hadn't even planned to write. I'm sitting here watching a video. I said, I need to write a blog. Sometimes you have to reach rock bottom to realize you were born to soar, right? Enough said, y'all. Oh, one more thing. Y'all got to get this, man. The Equity and Social Justice Education 50. And make sure you get this with it. Get them right now. If you got 2 devices in front of you, get that other device. Go to Amazon, get it now. Because the publisher doesn't have any copies. ASCD, they sold out, man. They're coming back next week, I was told. I was promised. But you can get it at Amazon right now. Equity and Social Justice Education 50. I'm done, man. I got a guest this morning. I don't play when I bring these guests either. I bring heavyweights, man. I bring champions. I bring superstars. That's what I bring. See, this is a whole new component to what we're doing now. I'm not just going solo every week. I'll be going solo the next 2 weeks, but then after that, I got some more heavyweights. But I got a superstar in here today. I got Principal. I'm gonna call her Principal, even though like myself, she's a speaker, retired from it, but I still call her Principal Merlyna Valentine. Oh man. Before I bring her up, let me read her bio. Listen up, hit that share button. We talking resilience today. There might be somebody that you know that needs to hear this message. So Merlyna Valentine, and I think it's Mathau. I think. I hope I didn't mess that up. You could correct me as soon as you come on. Merlyna Valentine is the way I know her, right? But there's a middle name in there. Is an international speaker, author, and consultant. She retired after 30 years of having served as a teacher, principal, and executive director in an extraordinarily successful school district in Louisiana. Her transformational leadership as a school principal resulted in her school's recognition as a top gains school. Woo! Miss Valentine has received numerous state, national, and international awards and commendations, such as Teacher of the Year, Principal of the Year, and the University of New Orleans College of Education and Human Development Alumna of the Year. She was also chosen as the recipient of the Ida B. Wells Risk Taker Award by the National Alliance of Black School Educators. Ms. Valentine was featured in several news segments and articles, including a spotlight in Ebony magazine. Audiences were captivated by her inspirational story of survival, courage, and hope when she was a featured segment on the Today Show. She was recently chosen as the 2020 Inspirational Speaker of the Year in an international competition hosted by Speaker Slam of Canada. So I want to say that again, 2020 Inspirational Speaker of the Year. That's who we got this morning, y'all. In the face of tragedy and daunting obstacles, Miss Valentine unleashed a remarkable inner strength that enabled her to lead by example. As a quadruple amputee navigating life's tumultuous terrain, Merlyna demonstrates that no matter what challenges surface in your path, you have the power within yourself to overcome it and cross the bridge from impossible to possible. Through her current endeavors as an international speaker and consultant, Merlyna empowers audiences to embrace their personal power and prove what's possible. We're going to be talking about the personal power as well in this broadcast. But without further ado, I bring to the broadcast, I bring to the Saturday Academy, Principal Merlyna Valentine. Welcome.
Good morning, and thank you so much. And that is Merlyna Matthew Valentine. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here and honored to, share this time with you and all of your guests on this live today.
Yeah, well, we're happy to see you. And let me say to the folks out here, hit that share button, hit that retweet button, because we got some stuff. I wanted, I asked Merlyna, could I share her video? And she gave me permission, and I'm glad she did. I want you to see this if you haven't seen it, and I want you to realize this is my first time using a video on StreamYard, so bear with me in case I mess up. Let's see how this works out for me. We go right here, and 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 hit this share button, and hit this play button.
Hearing the words amputation the first time was a moment that I don't think I could ever describe it in words, but it was, okay, what are you going to do? Because you don't know anyone who's ever lost a limb, let alone all four. And then what will your life be like? And what will the people in your life have to do? And then immediately I went to, will I ever be able to be self-sufficient? Or will I always need someone? And then who will that someone be?
A true saint is someone, despite adversity, despite all odds, is someone who never gives up hope. And this week's true saint is Merlyna Adams. Merlyna Adams, the principal of St. Rose Elementary School in St. Charles Parish, is back at work after losing her hands and her legs below the knees due to infections from kidney stones. For 2 years, Merlyna endured numerous surgeries and nearly lost her life. Over time, she learned to walk on prosthetic legs and use her prosthetic hands. Merlyna hopes that her story can help motivate others who are struggling through difficult times.
It's just perseverance, and the kids see it. The kids know it, and even in their writings, they've talked about how if Miss Adams can persevere through what she's been through, I know the problems that I have won't be that bad.
I made that decision on the first day, once they called me and told me she was sick, that I wasn't going to leave her side.
I remember it as vividly as I remember anything. He said, I am not going anywhere. We're going to do this together.
Good morning.
I thought about my kids at school and how much I'd always preach about perseverance, never giving up, never saying I can't, and thinking, okay, you've talked the talk, but now you're going to have to walk the walk.
Merlyna Adams is a true educator. She stands for all educators. She has a passion for teaching. Nothing is impossible with Miss Adams. She takes the I am out of impossible and makes it possible. It just makes us all jump on that.
She said that when we did get married, that she wanted to walk down the aisle. She was not going down the aisle to get married in a wheelchair. So at this point, she's back up. She's working. She's back walking, doing whatever she wants to do. So we are getting ready to plan the wedding. So
we're going to make a lot of people very happy on that day because everybody's been part of our story as far as friends, family, and my coworkers, and everybody asks every day, when are you marrying him? You know, you can't let him go. I'm like, he's not going anywhere. We're going to work on that. It's definitely in our plan.
He adores her.
Thank you. She's also a newlywed. In sickness and in health, and with joy and celebration. Merlyna's ordeal has been a journey she wouldn't have any other way.
All right. Let's bring here we are. Get this right. All right. So powerful video. I'm just getting myself back right here. Powerful video. And I'm amazed by it every time I see it. I think about you. I think about your story. I think about your husband, Tori, a lot. And, we're talking resilience today. And you epitomize resilience. You bounced back. You were a principal. I want you guys to hear this now. Merlyna was a principal. She was a teacher. And instead of, she obviously, you saw in the video, she overcame the tragedy to the extent that she could function, still with it. But she went back to that school. So I've got a bunch of questions. I want you guys to stay with me the whole time. And my first question, where did you find the will, the strength, the courage to come back, to fight back, to defeat such an overwhelming, and I'll call it opponent? Talk to us.
Absolutely. So, there's that old saying that you don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. And that is so true in what happened in my life. I had no idea I had this kind of resiliency in me, the tenacity in me, to be able to not just overcome, but to use this to transform me. Instead of it making me bitter, it made me better. And so what I kept thinking about the entire time I was in the hospital, 3 weeks on a ventilator in ICU, the sickest person in the intensive care unit, I was told that. I was given a less than 10% chance of surviving because of the sepsis, which is what caused every issue that I have. And when I did get that opportunity to learn that I'd be going home after months in the hospital, I said, now what? What do? You can sit around and say, why me, and have pity parties with pity snacks and pity punch, or you can say, I'm gonna meet this moment with all the bold and big dreams that you have about what life should be like. And so I just decided that I could no longer hold on to what I thought life should be like, my expectations of how things would go, all the plans that I made. I had to let go of that in order to embrace what life really was and all that it could be if I use this moment and I use this tragedy in a way that I could now turn that pain into purpose. And all I really thought about, Principal Kafele, was imagine how my students will feel, what they will think when I walk back into that building after what I've been through. And so many of them were there the day I became ill, and they were still there as students when I was supposed to return. So I said, imagine that I always talked about perseverance and never giving up. And I could go back in that building and be a living, breathing, walking example of it. That motivated me more than anything. And that whole thing about connecting to your why, I said, you didn't lose your why. You lost your way, because you lost so much when you lost your limbs, lost your independence. You lost just about everything. but you gain so much more if you take this moment and you use it to come out of this a better version of yourself. I call myself Merlyna 2.0. I'm new and improved. And I said, going back to that school building is probably the thing that actually saved my life. It made me fight. It made me want to get up every day. It made me put in the work so that I could return. And if anybody has that kind of passion and burning inside of them, you realize that nothing will stop you. And that's what I did. I just decided that I was going to define this moment. It wasn't going to define me. And that defining moment for me was not going to let the tragedy be the winner. It was going to be the day I danced my way back into that building and became the principal again. So the will to be in that building is what drove me back from the brink of death to right here, thriving in this new life.
Wow. Wow. Powerful stuff. Somebody out there needs to hit that share button because, you know, we just getting started. Somebody needs to hit that retweet button. Let them know. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Let them know. We got Principal Merlyna Valentine in the building. You know, Merlyna, I want to follow that up then. And we're going to talk about that why too. But before I get there, what was it about your principalship then? Your students and your school that had you so determined to get back into that building? And with the particular emphasis on the principalship itself, since we got all these leaders that are on the broadcast.
You know, I've always had this desire to serve. My mother was an educator for over 40 years, and I say that it's in my DNA. I think I was born to be an educator, and from very early on in my teaching career, I never had aspirations for leadership. But I started to witness what leadership, great leadership, could do in a building, how it impacted my classroom and my school. And I started thinking about there are things that I know I have to offer. There are things after being in this classroom for 17 years that I can bring to leadership. And that's when I made that decision that, you know, my impact is here with my 20 little students. But imagine the impact I can have if I'm in charge of a whole school, if I'm leading a school and people are there choosing to follow my leadership. So my principalship became about taking it to the next level and serving and making sure that I knew the responsibility that I had was to ensure that every student every day experienced some level of success, that I met students where they were. And I encouraged everyone in the building to do that so that we could then bring our children to their fullest potential. You know, my leadership was this. The students' futures became my mission. As I thought about what do we do in this building as an elementary school that prepares them for not just the next level, middle school or high school, but what are we doing starting in pre-kindergarten that is going to put our children on the path to success? And I think about all the time that the community I served, people questioned, were our children able to do the things that we expected of them? And I'm a firm believer that our zip code will not determine our level of success. We are going to do what is necessary for our students, despite the circumstances, challenges, adversities, whatever it might be. We're all in. And my leadership was about uniting everyone to have that collective efficacy that our children are going to be better and they're going to be prepared for this future because they have us, incredible educators in their lives. And so that was my leadership. I knew where the rubber met the road. It was in those classrooms. And so I became more in tune with my role as an instructional leader. That was my top priority. Even when I was an assistant principal, I always maintained that focus on the fact that I was there to impact instruction and to remove barriers so that great quality instruction could happen in those classrooms. And so it was about being an instructional leader. It was about making sure that everything I did was focused on our vision and mission and belief statements, and that I constantly brought those things into that building and reminded people why we were there. And so that whole thing of the responsibility of looking in 650 little faces and realizing they were counting on me to not just keep them safe, but to nurture them, to bring great things into their lives, to show them how much I believed in them. And so I took that and I used it during my recovery to say, you want to get back to doing that because you started something. It was only my second year as a principal when this happened to me, and I had not finished it. And so that drove me more than anything. There was a fire, like you're always on fire. I was literally on fire in therapy saying, I gotta get back. I've gotta get back. My students are waiting on me. My staff needs me and I'm ready.
Wow, you know, Merlyna, it's interesting. You guys probably all saw. I'm writing. I'm taking notes, right? And one of the interesting things was, as I was taking notes, I was looking at the thread, and the things I was writing were the things that many of the people were typing. But you know, you said, imagine. I want the APs to hear this. You said, imagine I had my own school, right? Like your thought process prior to. Just imagine if I had my own, the impact that I could have with my own. APs out there who feel some level of frustration with not landing that position when you want it. You know, this might not be your time, but you got to keep in your psyche. Imagine when I get my own school. Imagine when I have an opportunity to take things to another level. And then you said, and everyone was writing the same thing you said when you said zip code will not determine our level of success, right? And somebody out there, I don't know who you are, but someone out there, make sure you embrace that, right? Make sure that you lock that in, right? Because zip code can't determine success unless you're saying, because we're in this zip code, we're going to take it to levels that were previously unimagined, right? But you can't look at the zip code and say, oh man, we're struggling, there's poverty, this, that. So therefore we can't compete with the privileged community. No, you can't, because them kids are still born intellectually talented, right? And then lastly, you said instructional leadership was your top priority. Hey, somebody out there, this reading referrals all day long. Principal Merlyna Valentine said that through it all, in AP and principal, that instructional leadership was always the top priority. I'm just reinforcing it. It's the top priority. It's the numero uno. Everything else is secondary in that building. Never lose sight of that. If there's superintendents on the call, assistant superintendents on the call, make sure that your building leaders understand that, and therefore the culture's transformed so that we can ensure that instructional leadership is in fact the top priority. I got another one for you, Merlyna. Would you consider, this is where we go to that why, would you consider your principalship to be a major part of your why, your reason, your purpose, your because during that time, right? So during that time of recovery, was that why still front and center? And if so, how did it drive you?
It was absolutely the top thing that motivated me to just keep fighting. There were so many people that spoke doubt and fear into my life. I'm just going to be very honest. Being a quadruple amputee, it was unheard of that I could even consider going back to such a demanding job. Many medical professionals were obligated to warn me about the fact that maybe I could not do the things I used to do and that my quality of life would be very different. So I heard doubt and fear almost every day. But you see, because of the passion and the purpose that I have and the why that I held on to, I didn't have space in my heart. I didn't have space in my mind for the fear and doubt that they were trying to project. Because what I focused on was the fact that I knew I could do the job and my district believed in me. And there were many people who also believed in me. And here's where we fall short sometimes in life. We start trying to prove those who don't believe in us wrong. And we focus all our efforts on, I'm going to show them, I'm going to let them know what I can do. But here's what I decided, that I would focus on the fact that I was going to prove those who believed in me right. And so I could spend my time in the positive space. And that meant that everyone who thought that I should return as a building leader, as a principal, and do the demanding job that it is, and be able to physically handle everything, along with the mental part that is also very challenging. I said that is the reason that I decided I was going to therapy 3 times a day instead of once a day, so I could get back in that building. Wow. And so when I tell you it literally saved my life, it did, because I did things that I did not think I could do and that people said would be impossible. And that's where I get that whole phrase about proving what's possible. By me focusing on the fact that I had a job that was not a job. For me, it's a burning passion. It is the one thing in my life that brought true meaning to my life and purpose in my life. And so every time I thought about returning, I thought about what my return would mean. First of all, it showed children that they can't give up when things get tough. I never want to be a model to anyone that when times get hard, when things don't go as planned, when you feel like you should have something and it doesn't happen, that your only response is, let me give up. No, I want to be the reason that people say in these times when things are uncertain, when I'm facing adversity, when something I wanted didn't go as planned, I want to be the reason that people say, you know what? I better just keep fighting. So being that principal allowed me to show that every single day. Not only were students inspired by it, but it was my faculty and staff that came to me and said, you know what? We've named your office something that we just came up with. And I said, well, what is that? And they said, we are going to call your office the Dome. You know, and I'm from New Orleans. I thought Superdome, you know, the Saints. Yay, who that? But that wasn't what they meant. They said it was an acronym that stands for Don't Offer Me Excuses.
Wow.
And I said, you know, where does that come from? They said, we fully expected you to return here and give us a list, a plethora of things that you would no longer be able to do as a principal, things that made you dynamic, visiting our classrooms, being out with the students, being on duty, welcoming every student every morning and saying goodbye to them every day. We thought for sure physically you would give us this big list of things and excuses why you couldn't do it. But you came back with so much passion and fire that you're doing that and much more. You're just doing it in a very different way. And you're humbling yourself to ask for support. And so what we say is that there are no excuses in this building. This is the Dome. And so that's what I've held on to, that my presence in that building mattered. So my existence in life matters.
You know, the chat's blowing up with Dome. You know, I think a lot of people are going to be using, don't offer me excuses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's no, that chat's blowing up with the Dome. Let me keep moving because I got so much here. So I'm on question 4 for those who are keeping count. You often speak, Merlyna, of personal power. It's in your bio. What is personal power? And how do the folks watching find their own personal power?
Well, for me, I had to tap into this inner strength that I didn't know I had. And I had to literally do what you suggest. And that was to look in the mirror and to reflect about what was important to me, what mattered to me, and what was I willing to do in order to make those things happen. You know, I just remember that first look in the mirror post amputations. I'll be honest with you, it took my breath away. The reflection staring back at me, I didn't recognize physically. I was different. You know, waking up that way, going to bed that way is something I had to come to terms with. But then I started thinking, once I put on these prosthetic hands and prosthetic legs, and my husband puts this hair and makeup together, and I go on this journey, the time between when I wake up and go to bed, I live an incredible life. And that is because I tapped into the fact that I know what I stand for, I know what I believe in, and I know what I'm willing to do to make things happen for me. And I think sometimes you just got to be able to understand, what is it that you really stand for? What are your principles? What do you value? What is it in life that drives you? And when you think of those things, you also then need to start figuring out, what do I need to do if I have these big plans, big goals, and big dreams? What do I need to do to make that happen? I can't walk around being average and mediocre. Matter of fact, I'm allergic to average behavior. I break out in hives. I say I'm going to wake up every day and walk in my excellence and greatness. That requires me to know who I am, to reflect every single day about what I did the day before and how much better today is going to be, and that tomorrow is even better. And so for personal power, for me, it is knowing who you are, what you stand for, and how hard you're willing to work to make stuff happen that you've always wanted to have come and manifest in your life. That personal power for me is truly just figuring out, what do I want in life and what am I going to do to make that happen? Now, you also have to be ready for when things don't happen as planned. That's where that resilience kicks in, right? That space between what I expect and what happens is that big disruption in your life, right? That change. Like for me, change chose me. I didn't choose it. It came into my life. But then I had to say, what are you going to do with this change? Are you going to embrace it? Are you going to allow it to transform you? Or are you going to make it conform and make you into someone you don't want to be? Can you use this moment to come out of it better, to be someone you've always wanted to be, the person I was looking for that I didn't know I needed to find? That's who I find. So that's tapping into your personal power, being able to deal with all life throws at you and figuring out, because of who I am, I can do this, I can make it, and I will go on. And in schools, that's a necessary thing you have to be able to walk every day in your excellence and greatness, and not let the distractions that come into our lives blow us off course from who we are meant to be.
Woo! Personal power. Merlyna said, what do I want in life?
Yes.
What am I willing to do to make it happen? Hey, she talking to somebody out there, y'all. Somebody out there is trying to take their leadership to another level. What do you want? And what are you willing to do to make it happen? Somebody's trying to get that new position. What do you want? And what are you willing to do to make it happen? Somebody's trying to transform the culture of a school. What do you want? And what are you willing to do to make it happen? Somebody's not content with the achievement levels. What do you want? And what are you willing to do to make it happen? Personal power. You gotta embrace that. Man, it's so much. You know, Merlyna said something, and I know y'all caught it. And she said it matter of factly, right? I know you caught it, but you might not have caught it. I can't let it go. It was in the video, but she never talked about it. She talked about how she gets herself ready for the day, and she said, and her husband gets the makeup and her hair ready. Y'all heard that? See, I mean, we bring her back another time to talk about the relationship, right? Because I mean, did you hear that? Right? So I mean, that's teamwork, man. That's commitment. I don't even want to call it sacrifice. It's just commitment. I don't like that word sacrifice all the time, right? It's just commitment. So from the vantage point of husband, I'm just committed to my wife, right? So whatever it takes, right? So, you know, she said it, but I just wanted to kind of give it a little emphasis, right? In case somebody missed it. Let me keep moving. So much here. Let me get that question up here. There's an assistant principal out there, Merlyna. They out there in this audience today, or they will see the video later in the week. There's an AP out there who's in the midst of their own setback. Mm-hmm. But whether it be personal or professional, somebody on this call they're in it right now. They're in the storm. What would you say to that AP, for example, who can't seem to land the coveted principal position, or that aspiring AP that can't seem to land that coveted AP position, or that person that's trying to become director or assistant superintendent, whatever? What do you say to them when it seems that I just can't land the position? What do I do?
Yeah. So if you'd asked me this question prior to 2007, I probably wouldn't even have a response for you. 2007 is the year that my tragedy happened, because before that, everything I really wanted in life, everything I went after, pretty much I got it on the first try. Had very little things in my life to challenge me, and very little experiences with adversity. Just being very honest. Very sheltered life, very successful. And then this happened. And just like your blog post I read yesterday, I hit what was called rock bottom. And I said, to myself, you can meet this moment with adversity and apprehension and be afraid and fearful about where you're going, or you can meet this moment with the strength and tenacity that you need to overcome it. Take something from this and allow it to make you someone that you didn't know you could become. And so what I keep thinking about is, for that person that's wanting and going after that coveted spot that you really think you deserve, you put in the work, it's for you. Don't sit around asking why me, why not me? Don't sit around questioning who you are. I say keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep learning and growing, keep putting yourself out there. For me, my big thing is be so good that it'll be hard for anyone to ignore you in the future. That opportunity might come and you're not prepared for it. So this might actually force you to push yourself a little harder, to do a little more, to dig a little deeper. But don't meet that moment with fear and apprehension and the fact that I need to give up. This isn't for me, questioning who you are, your value, your worth. Walk around knowing who you are. and saying, you know what, I will keep putting in the work. I will keep showing up in my boldness and my brilliance until I'm so good that people start seeking me out. People come to me asking me for an opportunity. You know, I just say grab hold of the moment and use it to let you be pushed out of your comfort zone into doing something maybe a little different, something that might prepare you in a different way. And every setback isn't a bad thing. You know, hitting rock bottom, as you shared, was not a bad thing because you stood on your principles, right? And you stood for what you believe in. So for me, when I didn't get, you know, the coveted spot that I wanted, or something didn't happen right because of what I experienced physically and the challenges that I faced, guess what? I start thinking about, how am I going to use this to grow? What can I take from this moment that makes me a better person or makes me a better leader? Or, you know what, I'm going to sit and reflect about the interview that I had and the questions that were asked of me and say, did I answer everything in the way that I should have? Was I prepared for it? And if not, guess what? The next time I get that opportunity, and there will be a next time, I will blow it out of the water. So to you, I say, perseverance is key. We cannot give up when times get hard. We cannot meet moments that challenge us and say, you know what, I'm just throwing in the towel, because you are needed. Your leadership is needed. The students are counting on you. And most of all, you need to show up for yourself and make sure that you're being all you were meant to be in life, because that's the big thing for me. Many people want to throw in the towel when things get hard. Whoever told you that life was easy? Nobody. And I had to learn that because I pretty much lived an easy life. And I kept thinking, you know what? Why should I be exempt from the trials and adversities that happen in life? Because then that won't prepare me for what a leader needs to do in order to lead. And that is to be able to go through challenging situations, to remain cool and calm and make informed decisions. And so this, I think, is an opportunity to learn and grow. But I say to you, don't give up and don't give in. You got to keep trying, because if it means that much to you and you know what you can do in that school building as a leader, then you got to keep showing up and putting in the work, and they won't be able to overlook you for too long.
That's right. I love it. It's absolutely no way that there's somebody out there that needed to hear that you can quit on your dream, or said differently, quit on yourself, because that's essentially what you're doing. Right? Let's keep it moving, man. I got so much here. Here we go. Number 6. Merlyna, there's an AP out there, an assistant principal who has less than a favorable relationship with their principal. Let me say that again. There's an AP out there who has less than favorable relationship with their principal. What words of encouragement would you give that AP toward enduring this challenging relationship? Because see, sometimes we look at that as a setback, that, man, I'm trying to grow in this thing, but the relationship with my direct supervisor, the leader of the school, is not a good relationship. What can that AP do?
So I'm going to speak from two perspectives, from when I was an assistant principal, and I'm going to speak from being a principal who had 3 assistant principals on her team. So let me begin first with when I was an assistant principal. First year, I started in January. I took the place of someone else who was promoted. And so the dynamics there, the school was already in session. The principal had already made clear her vision and mission for the school. And here I came in January trying to figure things out and being expected to be able to hit the ground running and do what the previous assistant principal was doing. Now, I was fortunate that this principal was patient with me and that she was a true instructional leader, and she recognized her role as being my professional development with her leadership. But there were times that, because of me being in a new environment, a new community, a new culture, that I was unaware of exactly what her thoughts were and exactly what her vision was and what her response might be when I was there alone as an assistant principal leading something. And so what I say is that there are those times that there's tension there. And sometimes we can't even, actually have a conversation without there feeling like there's pushback. But what I did was I asked her to carve out time in her weekly schedule so that she and I could have not the stuff around instructional leadership or what we were working on our school improvement plan goals, But for our dynamic, for the principal, assistant principal role, I was willing to come in early. I was willing to stay late. And I told her, this is just us getting a chance to know each other. Me understanding what you believe in and what your mission and vision are for the school, the shared vision that we should have, so that when I leave this office, we're on the same page. And that when I'm out there speaking, I'm your voice in the building without you being there. And I had to recognize that my role as assistant principal, even if I disagreed with some decisions or, things that she was willing to change, that once we had communication about her why, her reason for doing it, and this is what was going to happen, as the assistant principal, all I could do when we left that room in public was to support her vision, goal, mission, and whatever actions she had proposed. In private, we could have those courageous conversations and dialogues that we disagreed about things, but when we left that room, we were a united front. And sometimes, as the assistant principal, I felt the urge to want to say, I don't believe in this, but this is what she said we need to do. And I learned very quickly never to do that, because number one, it shows the staff that you're in charge of that there's dissension and that you are not united. And then they start questioning and they want to work in silos because they feel like, I can do it because she doesn't support what, is expected of us. And so as an assistant principal, I held on to the fact that I was a support person to my principal, and that our role was to be united, and in public that we needed to agree on what was best for our students and the people that we led. But I was not afraid to ask her to sit down and let's have a conversation, especially about things where I was passionate and I wanted to get my point across. I brought in data. I brought in things to support whatever it is I was questioning, and I let her know that I was knowledgeable about it. I wasn't just challenging her authority. And when I tell you I learned so much in those 6 months with this principal, because we made the time to get to know each other, to have ourselves, align our mindsets and our thinking, it was powerful. Now, as a principal, I had 3 assistant principals that I was, part of my team. The dynamics about our personalities, our beliefs, and what we thought should happen in the building, it was tough to get 4 people on the same page. But I knew my role as a principal was to do what my principal did for me as an assistant principal. And that is to have those conversations, to open the floor, to be authentic and transparent, to say to them there were things I didn't know, and I'm counting on you guys to be my voice when you leave this room. And so in that time that we were together weekly, we made time and space for us to be able to hash out whatever it might be. And I made sure that they knew when we leave that office, we are united, because we want this school to know the leadership here is high quality, we're effective, and we're going to do what we need to do that's best for our students. And I think the biggest thing as an assistant principal I had to learn was to use a decision screen that said, is this what's best for our students, period. And whatever it is, I would have the evidence, the support, and the data to show that it was best, and I'd bring it to my principal. But in the end, the principal has the final say on whatever it is that the decisions need to be made about. And so I think you have to come there prepared. I think you have to ask for those questions and conversations to happen. I think you need to ask for time to be able to discuss openly with your principal. And then unfortunately, there are those times where the 2 people do not align, their personalities conflict, and in the end, it might be a smart decision to see if there's someplace else that your leadership might fit better. I hope that's a last resort, because I think as leaders, if you're both passionate and united around the school vision and mission, you should be able to overcome a whole lot in those private moments so that you can go out in the building and be the kind of leadership team that is necessary.
Wow. Listening to everything you just said and thinking about the audience, those of you who have been with this broadcast for a long period of time, that we said that your AP role is like an extension of graduate school. So what I heard Merlyna say was that the AP experience prepared her for her role as principal of the assistant principals. So now that experience, it informed a later experience. So the challenge I'm throwing out to you guys is that those of you who are in the assistant principal capacity, don't look at it as just real-time work, but also look at it as extension of your learning. It's real-time learning. So those things that you don't like, how will you, when you become principal, ensure that you don't bring those qualities, those habits, those things that you had to endure into your principalship, and now that becomes a part of who you are as principal? How will you take that and grow from it, so that you don't put them in the same situation that you were in when you were there? So using the experience in real time as training ground for becoming principal one day, not just relying on graduate school and professional development, but real life experiences to prepare you for that later principalship. I love it. Let me go to this next one. I'm on number I don't know what on number 7. I'm going all the way to 11, y'all. There's an assistant principal. When I wrote these questions, folks, I kept the AP in mind. There's an assistant principal out there who wants to be the instructional leader that I preach about on this broadcast, but is inundated with discipline and other ancillary tasks, which is a stressful reality for this particular administrator. What advice might you have for this AP that wants to be instructional leader, but for whatever reason can't? And it might just be in the mind of that person that I can't. What would you say, Merlyna?
Well, for me, I was in a role where disciplinarian became overwhelming, and it became the main priority that people expected of me, and that was my role. And I resisted that with everything in me, because I knew I was there to impact instruction in that classroom, to make sure every child had high quality learning opportunities in that classroom. And so I started thinking and reflecting myself, because in that position, I was the only assistant principal and I had a principal, and I did all of the discipline. And so I said, my day can be consumed with just processing these referrals, and then I won't have impacted anyone. I'll go observe a teacher one time and I have no idea what she does on a regular basis. And so that observation will be based on one visit to a classroom. That's not, I know as a teacher, that's not what I wanted. I wanted ongoing support and feedback so that I could improve and enhance and perfect my craft. That was why I wanted to be there. That's the role that I want to be in as an instructional leader. And so I met with the principal and our school leadership team. And I said, the big thing for me is, if we address the culture and climate in this building, then I believe all of us can do our job at a better level, because the discipline that I'm processing, those things that I'm having to, have take over and consume my day, I think they need to be addressed on a macro scale, and let's talk about the climate and culture in our building. And we started meeting bi-weekly with the discipline team that I set up. And I said, we're going to analyze every single referral, the time of day, the actual person who wrote the referral, the student. Like, we looked at everything. Where were they? And we started analyzing and finding patterns. And then I could, as the assistant principal, put things in place that would be proactive instead of me constantly being reactive. I'm addressing behaviors after they've happened. It's not changing a thing. But if we put things in place like procedures and expectations and make them clear and create this climate that we're looking for, that ultimately drives the culture that we desire to have in our school, that people are beating down the door to get in and not get out, then I think I can step into that role that I want to step into, which is to be in those classrooms supporting our teachers and making sure our learners are prepared. And so I think as an assistant principal, you can't look at the discipline thing and just say, you know what, that's what I have to do. I have to process these referrals before the end of the day. You got to start looking at, what can I do to significantly reduce the number of discipline issues that we're having in this building, so that now I can free up my day to get out there in those classrooms where I belong. And that's what I did for my assistant principals. They were responsible for their grade level, all discipline, curriculum, supporting teachers, everything. And it was almost like they were running their grade levels as a principal, along with my guidance and leadership. But that taught them that if I have to do these other tasks, I can't sit around and process referrals all day. What we did every day is we shared our calendar with each other, and we blocked out times that we were going to be in classrooms. And sparing an emergency, nothing got in the way of that. I saw their calendars, they saw mine. And I said, if you're going to be able to be in those classrooms, as you noted on your calendar, we can't have you come and run down to handle a discipline issue and spend 45 minutes processing a referral. What do? We put our heads together and we started analyzing that discipline data. We started looking at what were the issues in our building. It happened a lot in the cafeteria. It happened a lot during transition. We're going to put things in place that address those things, expectations, procedures. We're going to let our students know what's expected. And then guess what? They live up to the level of our expectations. How about that? When we hold them accountable, things started happening. And so I say to that assistant principal, you have to be the one that takes the initiative to say, you know what? I refuse to be in this office as a paper pusher and a pencil pusher. I want to be out there where the learning is happening. And the only way I can do that is to take hold of the situation, whatever it is that has to be done in order for us to reduce these discipline issues and disruptions in our day so that I can do the work that I know I was sent here to do. And that is to make sure every student is in a classroom where the environment is all about learning, teaching and learning. That should be our priority.
I love it. You know, I can reduce everything you said to one word, and you used the word, and the word is culture. The culture of the building, and in this case, inclusive of the culture between you and your team.
Yes.
Right. I mean, everything is culture in a building, and you're looking at the macro in terms of, like, I like to refer to culture as the way we're living, the lifestyle of the school. So how we're living in the building and what shifts, what adjustments we need to make relative to the culture of the school so that I can be the person I want to be, in this regard, the instructional leader, as opposed to this full-time disciplinarian, right? I love it. Great stuff. Let's keep it moving. Where am I? I'm on number 8, y'all. Another AP question. There's an assistant principal out there who's struggling. Y'all hear this one now. And by the way, it's 11:57. I'm supposed to be somewhere, but I got it. This is important to me. So y'all hang with me. There's an assistant principal out there who's struggling with keeping a balance between school leadership and life away from school. And it's adversely impacting him or her on multiple levels. What advice might you have for this person to maintain balance in their lives, where my entire life is not the school at the expense of my life away from the school?
You know, I go back to, again, prior to what happened, in my life in 2007, I had no balance. Everything that I did was about work. I stayed up at night. I got up early in the morning. I spent 12 to 14 hours in that building. And a lot of that personal time, it was sacrificed. And so therefore, my wellness was not there. But once I went through something tragic, and it put in perspective that life is something that is precious. And so if you want to live a long life, if you want to be able to lead for quite a long time, there has to be something you build in that's called self-care. And in these times, it is imperative that we practice more self-care. I used to believe self-care was selfish. And I thought needing some time for myself to rejuvenate and renew myself was selfish. I was a mother. I mean, I'm a wife. I have all these duties and responsibilities. But more than that, I'm a building principal, and I'm assistant principal. I'm in leadership. I have so many roles that I need to carry out. And I brought all that work home with me all weekend, all night. But then I realized that I truly could not be effective on Monday morning and energized and just as excited on Monday morning as I am on Friday afternoon if I didn't spend that time rejuvenating and renewing my mindset and starting each day fresh. So I think for us, we have to practice more self-care, mental wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness. I began to say there is not a day that will go by that I will not do something to physically move my body, because in that school building, you're moving around, but not in the way that you're taking care of yourself. So you have to get the mindset that self-care is necessary, it's needed, and it's life-saving. Because when I went through what I went through, the only reason that my body was able to rebound is because I'd taken care of myself in some way or fashion. And I was told that in order to continue on this journey, It requires more oxygen for me to just be able to walk because of prosthetic legs. It requires more energy and stamina from me because of being a quadruple amputee. And so therefore, I started learning that if I didn't take the time for myself to work on my wellness, I wasn't any good in that school building. So number one thing that I say is prioritize. I used to make a list. Here's the list of everything I need to get done. But then I would put a star by everything that was imperative to happen that day. And if I didn't get to the other things, that's okay. They could carry over to the next day. But if you don't prioritize and make a schedule, you will consistently wear yourself out and try to do it all. And that list every single day, it really made me aware of the time that I spent on the work. And on that list, I also built in walking every day for 30 minutes, making sure I had dinner with my husband. I put all those things that were important to me so that I could maintain some sense of balance. I made a calendar for the week, and literally that calendar had everything on it so that I could strategically plan out my days and make time to take care of me. And so for that assistant principal, I say you've got to embrace the fact that you're going to need some self-care. You're going to need to spend time rejuvenating, reflecting, and thinking about where you're headed next. You're also going to need to just have some fun. And that's the one thing that my husband constantly reminded me of that made it so incredible on this journey is that he said, we're going to build in fun because finding joy and seeking joy has to be intentional and deliberate. It doesn't just happen sometimes. You got to really seek it out. And that led me to knowing that if I didn't look for the joy in every single day, that I would feel burnt and worn out by the end of the day. So I say, make sure you're prioritizing, that you have a list, that you know what your day will look like, that you're building calendars that kind of keep you organized, and take time for yourself. It's hard, but it's necessary and needed, because without that, as they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. I got to keep my cup full, and I will be able to then share the love with everyone else.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. You use the words. You said you got to be intentional. I want somebody out there to hear what Merlyna said. You got to be intentional about the balance. You can't make excuses. Well, but I got to get this done. I got to get this done. But you've got Merlyna, who said I could only speak about this after the tragedy. And then you got me, who had a heart attack 6 years ago, and I can only speak about it after the heart attack. I can't speak about balance before the heart attack because the lack of balance is what caused the heart attack, right? So you got two folks on here who dealt with stuff, overcame it, and now have the balance. My balance is there. I happen to love work, but I still maintain that balance. I'm just someone that just likes working. I like being busy. That's who I am. And that's part of the balance, but it's a different kind of balance from being in a building and working within a school district, and all this entail with that. So keep that in mind, folks. She said being intentional. She said being deliberate. And she said you've got to prioritize, right? You got to do that. I don't care how much pressure is on you to perform. You still got to make sure that you're intentional about your own balance, your own self-care, being deliberate about it, and prioritizing your life, right? Let's keep moving. I'm on number 9, I think. Here's another AP question. There's a relatively new principal or new AP. So this is kind of broader. There's a relatively new principal or new AP out there who's so overwhelmed with the demands of school leadership while student achievement simultaneously continues to wane. What advice might you have, Merlyna, for that person? It's just overwhelming. I know it ties right into the previous question, but it's like I'm talking now about that pressure that comes along with it, that you're under pressure to raise achievement levels, but you feel so overwhelmed by the work because you're new at what you're doing, whether it be new as an AP, new as a principal. And now, once again, the demands of school leadership while simultaneously trying to raise those scores. What advice might you have for that particular leader?
So I definitely have lived this. My first year as a building principal, my school is about 20 minutes outside of New Orleans, Louisiana. And I was a first year building principal the year Hurricane Katrina hit our area. And so my school was already a large school, pre-K to 5th grade. I had 650 students. And as a result, our district was not directly impacted by the storm. So we became a welcoming district. I took in 100 additional students that year, along with the students I was already having plans for and making decisions about. And these new students, I knew nothing about their history because we couldn't even access their history. We knew nothing about their academic life. We knew they had experienced trauma, and we were going to welcome them with everything that we had. But we were then faced with, how do I raise achievement in my building for the students that I was responsible for prior to this storm, the new students who I want to meet them where they are and take them as far as I can, and be a first-year principal leading 3 assistant principals and figuring out what to do. I'm going to tell you this. I had to own the fact that there were things I did not know. It's hard as a leader to say I don't know, but sometimes you have to be able to realize if you work in a silo, you're not going to make it. And so I started saying, you know, working together builds my resilience. And so I have to not be at risk that I'm going to fail at everything by saying to people, hey, I need a team. I need your support. I need your effort. There are experts all over the building. My assistant principals were experts in many of the areas that I lacked knowledge in. So I wasn't afraid to say, hey, let's get together. I want your thoughts about this new math thing that we're going to try. Give me your, input. And so I think for us, it's about being transparent and really knowing that it's okay to not know everything, but to know where to go to figure out and find the information that you need. I had an incredible supervisor of principals that I could have those open and honest conversations with, in saying, you know what, here are some things that I need your support in. Here are the areas that I'd like to get more professional development in. Let me go out and seek things. Let me go to conferences. I need more information and resources. I'm not afraid to ask for what I need. But that overwhelming feeling, I had to deal with the fact that I could not walk in that building every day feeling that way. That I had to put yesterday to bed and arrive in the new day as feeling it was a new day, bringing with me only the things that I needed to address. Because sometimes we're holding on to the 10 things we didn't do, and we bring it into the new day and 10 new things pop up. And so I just started every day fresh, every day new. And I started thinking about the support system I had around me, an incredible leadership team of teachers and staff, 3 assistant principals, a supervisor. And I started saying, it is okay now for me to ask for support or help. See, sometimes we feel like that's going to show a weakness. She doesn't know how to be a leader. She doesn't know. But I needed to continue to develop and grow, just as I did in the classroom. I wanted people to give me feedback. I was open to the feedback and the input from those around me. We did surveys. We looked at data. We just started to figure out, how are we going to manage everything that's thrown at us and be able to use it to continue to grow. But for that overwhelming feeling, you have to be confident in who you are as a leader. You got to tap into that confidence and say, you know what, I'm here to meet the challenge. I'm going to make it manageable. I'm going to bite off exactly what I can chew and digest, and use everything that's in front of me to compartmentalize it, put it into things that I could manage, and then be able to move forward. Because if not, if you're carrying all those things with you and you have no system in place as to how you're going to address them, every day will be overwhelming. So I say, surround yourself with the people who can support you. Be willing to be open about the fact that you need support, or I would like your input, or I need some more information, or I'm going to seek out what I need to learn or know about, and then bring it back to your building. And never, ever lose your confidence in the fact that you are a leader, and people are looking to you to see how you respond when things do get overwhelming. Because if you panic, guess what happens? There's panic all over your building. Those people are watching you, and they're like, oh, she's frazzled, she's nervous, things must be going wrong. Oh no, you got to show up in your confidence, your boldness, and be as calm as you can be, and knowing that you can handle these things. And you got to have a system in place to be able to handle those things as a leader. So what are you using? What are your support systems? Who are you turning to? Who do you trust in your circle that is going to give you the good advice and give you the feedback that you need to hear, so you can continue to learn and grow? I just had to realize I didn't know everything. And this was a situation that no one had planned for. No one expected us to have to, open our school up and to restart the school year and to totally shift all of our plans. But we just figured out, We can do it if we do it together. You know, working together, that builds your resilience.
Lot said there, Merlyna, and you know that my two takeaways: acknowledging that I don't know everything, and I don't care if you're a 20-year veteran.
That's right.
You know, the principal of the year of the entire state. There's still things you don't know, but it's okay. I saw Sheikah Houston said it's okay to acknowledge that, right? As you said, it's okay to acknowledge that, and now your job becomes I got to learn,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know everything. That's okay. But that second thing that resonated with me was that C word that you use, confidence. And you and I, despite the fact that we don't know everything, despite the fact that whatever the challenges may be within our leadership, we still have to bring that confidence about our own skill set and our ability to be successful. See, because once we lose our confidence, we're pretty much done at that point. See, there's a lot of things you and I can lose. There's a lot of things that you and I can waver with. But the confidence,
yes,
once that's gone, you know, that's like your will, right? And once that's gone, it's a wrap. It's done. That's like a football team walking out onto a field and they left their confidence in the locker room. It's game over. You can't lose that. You got to hold on to that. You got to embrace that, if nothing else. I'm loving this interview. Let's keep it moving. We're almost there, y'all. I keep forgetting what number I'm on. Number 10. There's an AP out there who was passionate about becoming a school leader, but has discovered there's a disconnect between their initial passion and the realities of school leadership. I want to read that one again, because I know that person is on this call right now. There's an assistant principal out there or a principal who was passionate about becoming a school leader. Like, that's my thing. I want to be a leader, but has discovered there's a disconnect between their initial passion and the reality of school leadership. Merlyna, what can you say to that person to get them back to where they need to be?
You know, I always bring it back to, why do you do what you do? And if you have not sat down to ask yourself that question, you should. I think when you go back to the real reason you wanted to become a leader, and if it's like most of us, it is to impact and have influence all over the building, to have our impact ripple into the future for generations. If you go back to the real reason you decided to even be an educator, it is all about the students. And so once you figure out that piece and you start thinking about, what can I do to impact them? How can I make their lives better? How do I make their futures my mission? You start to figure out that you're on the right path and that you need to reconnect to that why. You need to ask yourself that question. Put that mirror up that Principal Kafele used and say, you know, why am I here? What does my existence mean in this world? What will I be remembered for? That's my big one. I say every day, when they told me 3 times in the hospital that I would not be there in the morning because I was so critical that they thought I would pass away overnight. And I remember thinking the entire night, what will I be remembered for? Not just as a leader, but as a person. And the first thought that came to my mind is, they're going to remember I love to serve. They're going to remember I loved students and I cared about their, you know, their success and their futures, because I acted that way every single day. And so I started saying to myself, when I get this second chance at life, it's got to be better than the first one that I had. I'm going to be intentional and strategic about what I do every day, my actions and my thoughts, so that there'll be no question when I leave this earth and my dash is over, of what I stand for and who I am. And so as a leader, I think you need to ask yourself that question. Do you really know why you became a leader, why you're an educator? What is your why? And when you find out that it's all about the students, there's no way you can leave what we're doing. There's no way possible that you can give up on that, because we need you. It's imperative that you're here. You know, I keep thinking about the fact that you got to stay hopeful. And hope some days is all that I have left. It's the hope that today is going to be 1% better than yesterday. And if we ever lose that hope, we lose our way, and then we lose our why. So I'm saying that as an assistant principal and questioning who you are, even as a principal, should I continue on this journey? I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. Well, do you really want to be someone that because times got hard or things didn't turn out like you thought they would, that you're going to represent to the world that you give up? No, you want to be someone that models perseverance, that in the face of daunting obstacles, when giving up seems like the best option, you choose to stay. You know, as Principal L said, you choose to stay and be here because we need you. We need you to reconnect to that passion and fire that you had inside of you when you chose to be an educator, when you went into leadership. I need you to find it. I need you to figure out what can reignite that spark, because having great leaders in our schools is the only way we're going to have great teachers and have amazing classrooms and schools for our students. So find that passion, never lose hope, reconnect to it, reflect about your why, and I promise you, you will find what you need to continue on this journey. I had to connect to that piece of me that said your existence matters, and so you got to get back up and fight. That's what it's all about.
Wow. You know, that what you just said, that last part particularly, it ties into this last question, which I really don't need to ask, because as I'm looking at the questions, you've answered this question in the previous 10. But give me your short version, but you've already answered it. It says, what role does attitude play toward bouncing back after a setback?
Attitude is everything. You know, my physical healing, it was painful. 2 years of fighting to get back to just being able to live life like most people take for granted. That physical part was grueling. But if I did not have the mindset that I have, there is no way possible I could have come back. I would probably be somewhere feeling sorry for myself, hosting those pity parties, and not having any impact in this world or influence. But because I chose, and I'm telling you, I wake up every day and choose. I laugh because I tell my husband all the time, I don't get to choose much in the morning. He chooses how my hair looks, my makeup, and now he's even telling me what to wear. He's the fashion consultant. I didn't even ask him to do that. But here's the good part. While he's working on the outside of me, I'm working on the inside of me. This is what I say every day. I only have great days. Now, during the course of the day, things will pop up. Things will not go as planned. But I make sure they stay as a moment. Kind of like that comma. When you're reading a sentence, you get to that comma and you pause so that you can understand what you were reading. But you don't stop at the comma, do you? You keep going to the end of the sentence so that you can get the true meaning of the sentence. So when those things happen during the day that make you pause, some adversity, some barrier, some obstacle, it's a moment. But so many of us want to turn it into a life sentence and live the rest of our lives bitter and angry because this thing happened. And so attitude for me is what saved my life. Having the mindset that said, girl, you can do this. Pick yourself up and keep going. And for every person that said you can't, say that you can, that you will, and that you must. And so I believe that if you have the right attitude, the mindset that you need, anything you face during the course of your day as a leader, anything you face, you're able to overcome it. You're able to address it in a very informed way. And you're going to make those decisions that matter in the building, the good decisions that will transform lives and make your school and your students' lives better. So attitude is everything for me, Principal Kafele. And everybody, I hope you know your attitude is the most contagious thing about you. The mood you bring into that building as a principal, if you sneeze, the whole building will catch a cold. And so therefore, you better show up every day with the attitude that today is going to be a great day because I choose the kind of days that I will have. No one is given power or permission to take away the great day that I will have. I don't give that kind of power away. I hold on to it because I only have great days.
Wow. That's great stuff. I appreciate you. Attitude is everything. Principal leadership is everything. What a conversation. What an interview. Folks out there, Merlyna is a professional speaker and consultant and author. And I'm going to turn this over to her so she can tell you how to get in touch with her, because see, this is just a sound bite for an hour and some change. But you may want her for the whole day. You may want her to keynote your event, your program, your whatever. So Merlyna, tell them how to reach you. Tell them about your books, everything.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I am Merlyna Valentine. I have a website that you can contact me and you can see a little bit more about what I do and see me in action. It is SheroValentine.com. SHERO, SheroValentine.net. I'm sorry, SheroValentine.net. I'm on Facebook as Merlyna Valentine. I'm also on Instagram. Same thing, Merlyna Valentine, and you can find me on Twitter at Merlyna Inspires. I am also an author of 2 books. This book is Living Life Without Limits. Let me see if I can cooperate and make it happen. It is on Amazon, and it talks about my journey back from the brink of death to thriving in life, to building my resilience, and to figuring out how I was going to live a new life as a quadruple amputee. And then I wrote this story called Daisy, the Extra Special Flower. It is a book for students when I go out and speak to young people about overcoming adversity and celebrating our differences. This book is about a flower that lost 4 petals, but still chose to be in that garden and be a wonderful and amazing flower. I lost 4 petals too, and I'm still living this life. And so I enjoy, Principal Kafele, the time that I have with you and those who joined us today. I can't wait to go back and read the comments, but I'm excited about where we're going. I am hopeful about this upcoming year, and uncertainty is something I've dealt with my entire existence, and especially in the last 15 to 16 years. But guess what? When I have hope that today is going to be better, that tomorrow is going to be even better, there's no way that I can stop doing what I'm doing on this journey. And I hope every single one of you remembers to remain focused on that. Why do you do what you do? Keep doing it.
I appreciate that, Merlyna. The comments have been off the charts. Your words have inspired, blessed a lot of people today. And it's kind of summed up in this one I kept up here from Tony McClinney. This is a great way for me to return to work this week. Thank you for inspiring me to be my best self.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah. And that's, it's just so much of that there. And I'm glad we had this opportunity. Folks are returning back to school. Some are already back, but this is just a good way to kickstart the new school year with this conversation. So folks know how to reach you. So certainly, folks, reach out, get those books, and all of that. So let's close it out. Merlyna, stay there with me. I'll be right with you. Folks, I appreciate you checking in. For week 66, we're going to be strong and stronger than ever in week 67. So again, just a reminder to you, if you don't have it yet, get your hands on it. The Equity and Social Justice Education 50. Get it at Amazon this week. It'll be back in stock at ASCD sometime next week, but you can get it at Amazon right now. Make sure that you like and follow my virtual AP Leadership Academy Facebook page and subscribe to my virtual AP Leadership Academy YouTube channel. Those of you who are new to me, new to this platform, that we're live, but they're all streamed to YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and watch the previous 65, right? They're all an hour long. Some are 2 hours. Some of them I had a lot to say, right? So you can go back and watch those anytime, right at YouTube at Virtual AP Leadership Academy. Folks, the world is crazy. The virus is raging out of control. Just do the right thing, right? Take care of yourselves. I'm gonna try to take care of myself. Let's take care of each other, so that we don't have to read anything negative about any of us that somebody succumb to this virus. Let's just make sure that we make sound, intelligent decisions throughout our lives. Other than that, I'm looking forward to next week. I'll see you next Saturday at 10:55 Eastern time. I'm gonna fly solo for 2 weeks, and then I got 2 guests coming up. The 3rd and 4th Saturday of August. Is it August? Yeah, August already. So we'll see you then. So have a great week. Have a phenomenal week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. and then we cock it way back and count the 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! Have a great week, folks, and I'll see you next week.